Chasing Lincoln's Killer, written by James L. Swanson, project by Natalie Riggs.
John Wilkes Booth had 8 hours to plan for Lincoln's death. Booth also got Mary Surratt and her son to help him with his plot. She hid his gun in a special package for him. John had 6 men that were his conspirators. The men were Lewis Powell, David Harrell, John Harrison Surratt, and George Atzerodt. Booth arrived at the theater and asked an employee to hold his horse for him as he went to kill the president. Booth entered the theater with no guard for the president. There was absolutely no one to protect Lincoln. During the middle of the play, Booth reached in his pocket for his weapons. In each hand he had 2 different weapons grasped tightly. Booth knew the play's script because he had performed it many times before. He aimed and fired his gun and hit Lincoln just below his ear. John Wilkes Booth disagreed with Lincoln and wanted him to die on Inauguration Day. After Booth shot the president, he broke free and galloped away on a horse that the employee held for him. Booth then crossed Capitol grounds and then galloped away towards the city of Maryland. Cobb agreed to let Booth pass through the bridge. Booth then met up with Lewis Powell and went across the bridge. The president's heart was still beating. His deep breaths were weak, but he was still alive. It was impossible for him to keep alive. His wounds were brutal. Booth recognized David Harrell and knew he was on safe grounds. Riding in open country, 10 miles safe on Washington, Booth and Harrell were soon to reach their safe home. 13 miles out of Washington, Booth and Harrell reached their destination. Wichmann told detectives that John Surratt was not home, but in Canada, and offered to join in on the manhunt. Booth broke a bone above an ankle joint. Booth was the most wanted man the next morning in newspapers. Lincoln had an operation on his brain and took his last breath, and his heart stopped beating. He was gone. Dr. Mudd is arrested. The manhunters head to Dr. Mudd's farm. Atzerodt is found and confesses everything to the manhunters and John's plan. John Wilkes Booth is wanted for $140,000. David Harrell surrenders at the Garrett's farm, and John Wilkes Booth gets killed by the Union soldiers.